Your Massachusetts real estate market update for the week of March 27th. Can it get any crazier? That's the question that I'm left with. Oh, and a surge of inventory, it's about to hit the market. As always, we're going to check in with the single family and the condo markets in the state of Massachusetts. We're also going to talk about interest rates and some of the economic news. As well as the luxury home of the week, we're headed to the Vineyard and we'll take you to an oceanfront 4.2 acre estate. The place is pretty awesome. Hi, I'm Jeff Chubb. I'm a recovering investment banker turned real estate agent. I've sold more than 1,000 houses. If you have any questions about the real estate market, then know I'm here to help. It's a pretty crazy market. More multiple offer situations this weekend. Some we lost and, well, some we won. One of the biggest differences I notice is that clients that we meet with to do a home buying consultation where we go over the market conditions and the actual offer strategy, well, those are the people that are getting their offers accepted a lot quicker than clients who just decide to jump into the process and go straight to seeing houses. It's like they always say, proper planning prevents poor performance. Also, check this out. It was a crazy week for open houses. Do you see all the cars lined up for this house? It's a single family home in Sharon with an asking price of $850,000. It was a zoo. It was a nice house, but my clients, they pretty much walked in and out. But that thing sold this weekend, I can guarantee you. And a real quick pro tip, I was just looking at a new listing, and the only time available to actually show this property to one of our clients is a 1.5 hour window during an open house on Saturday. There's no private showings allowed and no other time scheduled. If your agent is recommending that you do this, then you should fire them. They're not working in the best interest of you, and they're just being lazy. They're not trying to maximize your sales price and get you the best terms and conditions on your house. A huge red flag. But now let's jump into the single family market stats. We currently have 2,990 houses on the market. This was another trickle of a week when it comes to an inventory build. But when you take into account the last 3 weeks of trickles, it actually equates to an additional 253 homes on the market. Not bad, as it stands that inventory is up 9.8% in the last 28 days. The bad news is that the gap between the amount of additional houses on the market today versus today last year continues to narrow, with there now being 723 more units on the market. It's a different week, but it's the same old story. We need more inventory, and I think we're about to get it. That is, if history's an indicator. Last year, this week that we're in, right here, right now, this is when we started to see inventory jump, and this carried through until essentially the run-up of the 4th of July holiday. Exclude Easter, Memorial Day weekend, of course, but this week last year is when we saw a 25% increase in the amount of new listings when compared to the previous 4-week rolling average. 25%! If you're a buyer, then you're probably wishing for more inventory, and your wish, it might just come true starting this week. What has been interesting is the story of inventory growth in select towns compared to the same time last year. What do I mean by all that? Take Hingham, for example. It currently has 29 single-family homes on the market compared to 12 last year. Cohasset, a neighboring town, that went from 8 to 18 units. Lexington, which went from 21 to 38 units. And then Wellesley, as an example, went from 14 to 25 units. I could do this all day. Then you have Brockton, which has gone from 35 units last year down to 25 today. Or Lynn, that went from 22 units to 14 today. Or maybe Framingham, that has gone from 15 units down to 11, or maybe Taunton from 18 units to 14. Are you noticing a trend here? The high-end luxury communities are seeing inventory build, while the more affordable communities are actually seeing inventory dwindle. This has to be thanks to the higher interest rate environment. We had 864 homes come on the market this week. Now, this is the highest level for weekly inventory since the beginning of November of last year. That being said, this was still 25% below last year's new listings when 1,151 units came on the market. We had another strong week for pendings as well. There were 846 single-family homes that went under agreement this week. Now, based off the last 2 weeks of 823 going under agreement, then 807, and now 846, it is looking like the spring market, well, it's starting to build. But even with that upward trend, we were still 21.7% below last year's numbers when 1,080 units sold. So inventory levels are down 25%, while sales are down 21.7% compared to last year. Now, last week there was a 7% imbalance. This week it's down to a 3.3% imbalance. Better, but again, it's something that buyers should really take note of as we head into this spring market. There were 379 homes that sold last week for an average sales price of $718,000 and a median median sales price of $590,000. And then that months of inventory. This is how we determine what type of market we're in. 0 to 5 months is considered a seller's market. With the closer you can get to 0, the stronger the seller's market it is. Now, this week, months of inventory actually ticked up slightly to 1.44 months compared to last week's 1.43 months. This continues to indicate that it is a strong seller's market. Now, onto the condo market. We have 1,946 condos on the market as of Monday. Now, inventory moved up by 25 units and is now about 14% higher than it was just 28 days ago. Here's something that I don't think I have ever seen. The inventory gap between this year and last year, it actually held steady at 243 units. This means that a buyer today has 243 more condos to look at on the market right now than the same time last year. There were 468 newly listed condos this week. Now, the 4-week rolling average was 417 units, but compare this week to last year, it was still 25.7% behind the 630 units that came on the market then. This is a pretty large improvement from last week. We had 437 condos go under agreement this week. Now, the 4-week rolling average is 368 units. So that's a pretty phenomenal bump right there. However, we fell 26.7% off last year's numbers when 596 condos went under agreement. Another change up that we haven't seen before, as this means that the new listings were down 26% versus the under agreements being down 27%. So 26% for new listings, 27% for under agreements. Not anything to be worried about at this point, but it's just an interesting point nonetheless. There were 204 condos that sold this week for an average sales price of $601,000, and then that median sales price of $500,000. And then that months of inventory, it ticked down slightly to 2.15 months from last week's 2.16 months. Do you like hearing about what's going on in the Massachusetts real estate market? Then I appreciate you hitting that like button, as it makes a huge difference to those YouTube gods. And subscribing, that one doesn't hurt either. In the last week, interest rates actually ticked down a bit, but they've started to move off of that 6-year low that we had seen, 2 weeks ago. And when looking at the economic calendar, there really isn't anything on it in the coming week or so that would move the rate market either way. So I believe you're just going to continue to see this volatility in rates for a while until we really know for certain what direction the economy is headed. Some economic news: the Silicon Valley Bank mess, well, that came to an end as First Citizens Bank, they stepped in and acquired their assets. Now, First Republic, they were backstopped by other large banks, so they're good. Credit Suisse was bought out by UBS, and now that focus actually turns to Deutsche Bank, and that is a really big one. I'm not sure if it's the next shoe to drop, but it is a shoe to drop, and that is the commercial real estate market. It's the perfect storm. You have companies that are laying people off and will finally be able to shrink their footprint. I say finally because companies couldn't necessarily decrease their footprint during COVID due to the long-term leases that they were stuck in. Now add in the $400 billion in commercial real estate debt maturities this year alone that are due, then sprinkle in for the fact that regional and local banks actually account for 62% of commercial real estate lending, and then don't forget to lump on the credit squeeze currently going on by these small local banks, which will make for a miserable time for these commercial properties to refinance. And if they do manage to be able to refinance, then add in the much higher cost of debt. Put it all together, and it equates to an upcoming disaster. And now let's jump out to the Vineyard to take a look at the home at 44 Forest Road in West Tisbury on Martha's Vineyard. This is a 4,436 square foot, 6-bedroom, 4 full bath and 1 half bath home nestled on a private 4.2 oceanfront acres. Now, this home has stunning water views and is directly waterfront while sporting a main residence and a 3-car carriage house with luxurious guest quarters. Now, the interior offers a high level of craftsmanship and elegant design throughout. There are immaculate views from nearly every room. The house also features a heated gunite pool, complete with a bluestone patio and extensive stone walls and hardscape, plus a separate hot tub. The home is in 7 Gates Farm, which is one of the most private areas of the island. Now, the area, it's rich in history and comprises of nearly 1,600 acres. Properties in the farm enjoy access to miles of private beach, 2 piers, as well as 2 tennis courts. This beautiful home is being marketed with an asking price of of $14 million. Do you want to talk about your own personal real estate needs? I don't blame you. Why always look at the luxury stuff? Let's talk about you. All of my contact information, it's in the description below. You can also visit me at youtuberealestateagent.com and just fill in a couple of questions about you, really, and then I'm going to reach out to you. Whichever way is easiest and works best, well, for you. I love to talk real estate, so whether you're looking to buy or sell a home in the next 9 or 90 days, then I would love to chat with you and just find out a little bit more about your real estate goals. Questions or comments about any of this market data, then drop me a line in the comments section below. You take the time to watch the video, so I'm always going to take the time to answer your questions. And as I always say, an informed person, well, they're a powerful person, so until next time,